another kind of production line altogether.
And it's one that's ruffling a few feathers. Here's Trisha Doodoo.
People have lived in this valley for 6,000 years, but some of those lucky enough to live here today have serious concerns that this historic landscape may be about to change forever. That's because there are plans to build 2 massive chicken sheds right here in the heart of Herefordshire's unspoilt Golden Valley. It seems chickens are ruling the roost in the county as plans for 31 new farms or expansions have been approved in just 5 years. Some locals are against the latest proposal, among them Tim Rogers.
You'd have 2 large factories, the length of football pitches, with metal roofs, with vents continuously running at the top of those roofs. This particular location in Herefordshire relies very heavily on tourism, and tourism relies on this landscape. We can't move the landscape, but we could move these to a better and more suitable location.
Each shed would hold 40,000 chickens. It may seem like a lot, but it's pretty typical of modern, cost-effective chicken farming. And the National Farmers Union says the industry has to grow to meet rising demand, and rural locations are preferred as they limit inconvenience to neighbours. There are 2,500 farms or broiler units across the UK. The main centres of production are in Northern Ireland, the East Midlands, East Anglia, and my next destination, the West Midlands. So, what does a modern broiler unit look like? Well, the first thing you notice is that they're big, really big. It looks more like a distribution centre than a farm. The 6 sheds here cover a whopping 11,000 square metres. Hello, you must be David.
I am.
Award-winning poultry farmer David Speller is my guide. Oh, wow! Chickens as far as the eye can see.
So this one's 14 days old.
And when will it leave the broiler unit?
Potentially our youngest bird would leave at 35 days of age, maximum age.
That's soon.
Yeah, and it depends on the demand of the consumer ultimately. And if they're purchasing smaller chickens off of the retail shelf, then we need to send them to the factory sooner.
And what about the droppings? Where do all the chicken droppings go?
So the droppings from all of the farms that we're involved with is sold to farmers to use as fertiliser.
More than 900 million chickens were slaughtered in the UK last year, up 7% in 10 years.
Is the viewpoint that we should just simply import it and not grow it at home? Personally, as a broiler farmer here, I'm happy that I know how I'm producing this chicken and I know to what standards I'm producing this chicken, and it's a good, viable, healthy option.
And what about the fact that chickens don't eat grass? You could actually have this in an industrial unit anywhere.
To go and buy 10,000 square metres of floor space on the industrial area is very expensive, which would mean the chicken price would have to go up, or it just wouldn't be viable to build that farm.
Well, having spent time with over 200,000 chickens, I must be honest, there was a strong smell, but it wasn't overwhelming. But I'm not living next door to a broiler unit. And a smell is often a complaint made by opponents. I've called in professional nose Pete Baddle from odour control specialist Air Spectrum to see how far the odour chick travels. First, he samples the air inside the shed, then heads outside and samples it next to the vent before taking a final reading 30 metres away. OK, Pete, what have you found?
Well, interesting results actually. Inside the building we managed to find 131 odour units per cubic metre. Just outside, under the side ventilation, was just 44 odour units per cubic metre, and then 30 metres downwind on the boundary was not detectable, so it's just 0 as far as we're concerned.
So what is the threshold?
We'd expect around about 50 odour units of something like this to be on the borderline of being a nuisance to somebody in close proximity.
It seems the aroma didn't roam very far. Right by the vents it was already below nuisance levels, and by 30 metres it had gone. So if we want our chicken to be both British and cheap, then maybe we'll just have to get used to more industrial style farming units like this in the countryside.
They're huge, aren't they, the sheds?
Well, just to clean up a little bit.